you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues. Owners' profits were always sky high.
Hey everybody, welcome to Navel Gazing, the Valley Indie Podcast. My name is Eugene Driscoll, and I think it's April 28th, Thursday, April 28th, 2022. Hey, listen, the Great Give's coming up next week, May 4th and May 5th. It's the one time a year I ask people, please donate to the Valley Indie. I use the Great Give as a reader drive. You know what I'm saying? So donate.valleyindy.org during the Great Give, and please check out facebook.com Valley Independent Sentinel during the Great Give. I'm doing a live stream. So this podcast, I'm going to play some clips from the Derby Board of Apportionment and Taxation. They just concluded their meeting. I'm recording this at 7:46. Their meeting ended at 7:37. So they voted unanimously 10-0 to adopt a budget of, how much was it? $48,385,128. That's a budget-to-budget increase in spending of $997,551. There is no mill rate increase. According to what was said at the meeting, the current mill rate is 38.6, and according to what they've been saying at meetings, it is going to stay the same. The budget allocates an additional $100,000 to Derby Public Schools, bringing the total school budget to $19,177,364. School board had asked for an increase of about $913,000, saying union contracts and past years of flat funding made that amount of money needed to run the schools. There were some things that were not answered at the meeting they just had. There was some talk this week about possibly giving the schools another $72,000 in possible insurance savings. I don't know what happened to that. It was supposed to be answered or said it was going to be answered, but it didn't come up. There was some talk about looking at a special working balance and taking some money for projects out of that and giving it to the schools. That did not come up at the meeting I just attended. At the last minute, Jennifer DeRoche, a member of the tax board, made a motion to lessen the allocation of Derby Storm Ambulance to take $25,000 of $125,000 going toward Derby Storm Ambulance, and instead giving that to the Derby Board of Education, but that motion failed. Here's clips from the meeting.
Is there any final comments, parting words before we shove off?
I do Jeff, have one, Jeff. I really appreciate you taking over. It's you've done a great job, and you should give yourself a round of applause, as well as everyone else should give you a round of applause. You did very well through this whole project, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carloni. If there's going to be more comments like that, I'd like to take them all. Thank you, Mr. Carloni. I appreciate it.
You did an excellent job, Jeff.
Thank you, Jen.
We're
I appreciate
proud of
that. I appreciate it.
Jeff, I appreciate doing all this. Thank you for doing the great job.
Okay, Mrs. Patel, thank you so much. And any other comments?
Yes, I think you did a great job too, Jeff. Louise.
All right. Well, we all did. Thank you, Mrs. Patel. So I appreciate it. I know we were all on this through the whole thing, so I appreciate that.
Mr. Chair.
So, yeah, hold on. I think that was Mike Gray was going to speak, and then Mr. Garofalo.
Sorry, I'll be very quick. I just wanted to say, under the circumstances, I think this was a very unusual year for setting a budget. I want to thank all the other members of the committee. We all did a great job. But Jeff, I think having never done this before and stepping up and taking this on, and I think you really were the glue that held it all together. So I really appreciate your time and effort in doing this and helping us to pass this budget. So thanks for all of your work.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. I hope we didn't take it from the family tonight. I appreciate it. Mr. Garofalo?
Mr. Chair, I'm Marc Garofalo, I'm Town Clerk, and have been participating in budget meetings for the city for a number of years. And on behalf of the whole city, I want to congratulate each and every member. Many of you are new, and others of you have been, some have been there. The situation under which you had to operate with no staff help is not really an acceptable way to produce public policy. It's an unfair burden that was put on the members of the board, the volunteer members of the board. But you all stepped up and worked in a bipartisan way to do the best that you could do for the city, considering the situation. So I congratulate you on doing your city proud and being an example of volunteer public service in the city of Derby, because it's volunteers that help make our city move in a positive direction. So I just think that you're owed a debt of gratitude, but the situation that you were put in is completely unacceptable. And I don't mean to take away from the enthusiasm of your success tonight, but that the situation you were put in is completely inexcusable and unacceptable. And I know you've expressed concerns that we all share about using the fund balance for operating money in our city, and for the other answers to questions that you had that have been left unanswered. But now you have the benefit of the experience of going through this process, working together, disagreeing in a respectful way, and essentially doing it on your own. So you are all to be congratulated. Mrs. Kimball, who's put in the unenviable spot to be put in at the last minute and having to catch up, is impressive as well, because it's a big burden to put on everybody. But with your family and professional obligations, that you did this on a shortened calendar, you were again to be congratulated. So I guess I'm the one that's here to thank you for that, and I'm happy and proud to be able to do that, and proud to have been able to get to know some of the newer folks. And thank you again for your service to the city of Derby. Thank you again, Mr. Chair and members.
Thank you, Mr. Garofalo, and we all, I think, appreciate your presence on these calls. So if you will all just indulge me just for a minute, I just wanted to read something. I prepared it'll take less than 2 minutes. Excuse me. As volunteers, we have spent a significant amount of time attending meetings, reviewing the information that has been presented to us throughout this process, as well as participating in many conversations regarding our city's finances. In addition to the normal rigors of a budget season, this year presented a unique set of circumstances. This board is composed of 70% first-time members, and without the presence of a finance director to shepherd us through the process, I believe we handled this situation exceptionally well. This group is inquisitive and thorough, and as we gain experience, I believe we will be that much more effective in our duties as a tax board. I believe this budget accomplishes a few things. First, we have adopted a budget on time as outlined in the city charter. 2, there has been no increase to the current mill rate. 3, we have a fully funded police and fire department. 4, there are adequate funds set aside in the working balance account to compensate for potential revenue shortfalls and unexpected expenses, as well as prepares us for adequate funding for the projects mentioned for the special working balance. 5, and finally, although we are shy of the requested allocation, this budget provides the Board of Education a $100,000 increase over last year after 3 of the last 4 years being flatlined. Looking ahead, as we move into the new fiscal year starting in July, we as a board will begin to gain a greater understanding of how accurate the expense lines items are and based on line transfer requests throughout the fiscal year, as well as the accuracy of our administration's revenue projections. As suggested by fellow board member Roberto Santos, we will make clear our expectation that the charter regarding our board is adhered to, and all budgets submitted by the department heads to the mayor are also received by this board on February 1st of 2023. I will also look forward to the increased dialogue between the mayor's office and the Board of Education, so they may find an appropriate middle ground to continue the progress made on our schools' improvement and adequate funding. I also look forward to the formation of the committee regarding the storms ambulance so they can find ways to improve efficiencies within their organization, and they may continue to provide the very necessary and vital emergency services they do to the city of Derby. Finally, I would like to thank Mr. Garofalo for his participation throughout the process, all the department heads who've presented to our board and it fielded our questions, Mr. Mayhew for engaging us in question and answer sessions both through email and through our meetings, to the public who engaged with us during our meeting sessions, and to all our fellow boat members for their time and service to our city. I know these last 4 to 6 weeks have been a grind for myself, and as they have for the rest of us. Thank you. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Thank you for the good work you've done, Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Santos.
That was amazing, Jeff, and I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Orzetti. Is there a second?
I second the vote.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Santos. With that, I believe we're all in favor to adjourn. Say aye.
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 Okay, 7:37, Mrs. Pitney, 4/28, 2022. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you.
Great work, everybody. Thank you.